Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited Women's League is back for another Thursday afternoon of Project Eris. I'm super excited to get into this matchup here. The first one going on between apparently a new spaceship team versus Mirage Scouts. That should be Girl Boss's logo,
Yeah,
which
we,
is
we
really
know that the
cool.
girls' boss roster is out of this world,
They're
but I
out
don't
of
think we
this
needed
world,
to. I
yeah.
don't think we needed to change Tyro's beautiful logo. However, I think the point is still coming across. This is definitely going to be a good game. Girl Boss, they're still undefeated, looking to continue that, while Mirage Scouts are coming off of a hot win last week.
Absolutely. And I mean, Mirage Scouts are looking like one of those teams. I think these are both like the thing that's so important about coming into today's game is that these are both teams that can be a grand finalist team, like without a shadow of a doubt. Now, obviously, Mirage, they're doing some weird roster things. They've been playing with Munas instead of with Tabby, and I don't know how that's going to affect. Or just, I think they've just been subbing her out for anyone, to be honest. And I don't know how that's going to affect the roster at all. But Munas has been definitely putting up numbers as of recent. But at the moment, I mean, nothing can beat, just playing with a fifth player that you're going to scrim with and you're going to dry run with and practice with. So that's one thing that you have to worry about sending you back. But at the same time, I think there's word going around the girl boss is
Yep.
actually going to have a sub as well who's
I was going
playing
to
against,
segue into
yeah,
that.
you
I was
can
going
go
to
ahead. Yeah.
segue in and say, well, I mean, word on the block is that speaking of fifths, Girl Boss also have a new one. It's going to be Autumn May stepping in, joining the likes of Tara and the rest of the squad. So we've seen Autumn May and other, just her stream, plays the game a lot, as well as in other women's leagues. She's always performed well.
Really cool smoke
So
cosplay.
that is
I'm a
also
big fan.
true. But we can also take a look at the standings overall to paint the entire picture of what's going on. And if you notice, Mirage Scouts as well as Girl Boss, they're on the upper echelon of this league. They got some points, and they're still definitely contenders right now.
I would definitely say that Mirage Scouts is kind of like the cutoff team between top and bottom, right? Like
Yep.
they're at the top where it's just like they are ruling over. They're just beating everyone that they can, and if they don't, they look good while they're doing it. And then you have Valkyrie's Red, Sister Red, and Talentless, who just they look a bit shaky to say the least, And I think there's a little bit of nerves going into this. You have a big league with T2 and T1 players alike. You have a bunch of new players and new talents, and everyone has been proving themselves left, right, and center. So it can be a nerve wracking kind of field to play on. But yeah, Mirage Scouts, I mean, there's no shortage of in terms of the potential when it comes to the top five. You can't really guess out of one of those five who's going to be in the grand finals. I think Goo Goo Dolls, if you were to place your bets there, you'd be rewarded very healthy. But at the same time, for that second place team, no one knows.
Yeah, I mean, in Wichita Wolves, the newly acquired Whammon team roster, their only loss was against Girl Boss, formerly known as Disrupt Gaming. That was week 1, and it was still a very, very close game. 7-5 on Oregon. So, once again, that's a toss-up between who's in second, who's in third. It's really close and leading to a really competitive overall kind of top half of the bracket that we've seen unfold.
Right. And I mean, it's just like they're just like I think Girl Boss, coming into this game, they have a lot of high expectations, right? They're one of the undefeated teams, and they look like an undefeated team. They aren't just going out with these really crazy close matchups, which they are in some instances, by the way, which is really cool. But they're not on the level of dominance that Goo Goo Dolls are at right now. But they are easily one of those teams where it's just like they can be. We talk about upper echelon; they're on the upper echelon. They've got their spot almost secured. But this is one of those matches where it's like, guess what? This could be a team from the bottom, sort of not the bottom. They're in the middle. We talk about them kind of
Yeah.
being one of the topper teams. This is one of those teams that could really pose a threat if they let them go.
Yeah, I mean, as you look at the names fly up, everybody here, has weight behind their names. On the side of Girl Boss, you have Tara, Lioness, Bailey, Alexis K, and Autumn May. And just as equal on the side of Mirage Scouts, you have players like Monster Girl, Cavi, Cassie, Victoria, who I can never say her name. It's Victoria backwards. It's Victoria backwards, as well as Munoz. And overall, every single one of these players really hasn't had a bad game so far. Every time they've loaded in the lobby, we've had them on stream. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch. Always something great to unpack. And I can't see this game being a blowout by any stretch of the imagination.
Right, and if it is, it'll be a really big shock, and I think that a lot of us are going to be in for a treat no matter what. And I'm really excited to see just who's going to pop off today. That's the thing about Mirage Scouts, right? They have some inconsistencies. They have sort of players that can kind of fall back and slack a little bit, but there's usually someone there to pick up the pace. And for me, I just can't wait to see who that's going to be. Mirage Scouts, they're always a very surprising team to watch, and that's why I think that they could pose a really big threat to Girl Boss because they just have these crazy players that could just do anything, that could try and win the game. There's a lot of plays to be made from the side of Mirage Cats. They're a very unpredictable team, And I think that's where Girl Boss are going to get caught off a little bit because they scrim teams. They have, they're very credited. They're very well known as a good scrim team. They get good scrims from what I know. So they kind of expect to play that structure. They expect to play, sort of teams where it's like they actually understand like how Siege is normally played. But when you have Mirage Scouts who just, they have this unpredictability factor, they're super frag heavy. Anything can happen, and that can be one of those things that sets Girl Boss off. Now, is that going to be as big as we're making it out to be? We'll just have to see.
I mean, if there's a nitro cell still left on the board, then we know Monster Girl can definitely get a frag with it. We
Oh
saw
yeah,
so many of those last week.
4.
Yep, as they were playing against SH Women's. And when you're playing up against some gunners like Tara and the rest of the Girl Boss roster, sometimes you really do want to try to avoid those gunfights, and a nitro cell is a really great way to just make sure you don't have to fight them. Why not use a secondary PC utility instead of bullets? It's a lot more fun and it's a lot easier and safer. For Tara, she's been playing absolutely amazing, especially on the defensive side. She had the clutch on mute, as well as whenever she's on Alibi, been doing really well with that MX4 Storm. Overall, just the way that Girl Boss plays, it's a nice mix of structured with that free-flowing kind of creativity where their roles aren't necessarily super strict. They have a lot of loose aspects where there's going to be the roams, there's going to be the flanks, there's going to be everything coming together. And Tara has been spearheading that for this team. And I think she's going to have a good game.
I definitely think she's kind of like in the leadership driver's seat and that kind of thing. Like she kind of feels like the leader of Girl Boss. I don't know if that's actually true. It just feels that way. And why not make her an alibi main? It's why not? It's like the second most e-girl thing you could ever do. But yeah, the 1.5x has been really powerful. Can't really blame her. Alibi's super fun. Like Alibi's always
and she brings
fun.
a shield and a shotgun.
She has a shield. Like this is an actual good operator. But
yeah.
like regardless of operator picks in general, Girl Boss just it really feels like when you watch them, you can tell that they know what they're doing. They're doing everything that they understand what they're doing. Whenever there's a flaw, they fix it. They're just a structured team. They're a well-rounded team. And in Eris, I'm not saying that's a rarity, but because Eris is built on the foundation of anyone can play. It's built on the foundation where you're going to see some players that you've never heard of or some teams you've never heard of. To have this team that is kind of like one of those well-structured, well-known, actual well-put-together teams that have been together before Eris, it's kind of rare. It's kind of rare in this league. So that's why you're going to see them have a little bit of that advantage. They might have a little bit of, kind of experience almost. Maybe not much as Google Dolls, but as a team together, definitely probably the most experience in this league.
Yeah, and experience also comes with map pool. When you're a newer team, your map pool is definitely limited. Neither of these teams I would necessarily say are new, especially when you can take maps off the board such as Clubhouse, Oregon early, Cafe Villa late, leaving those up as hook maps where it seems like the overlap is here on Chalet. We saw Mirage Scouts play it last week and looked pretty good while doing so. On the side of Girl Boss, I'm not as familiar with them on Chalet. I think I've seen a little bit more of like the Oregon Villa style from them, but like I mentioned earlier, with their creativity, they are able to be free flowing, and that does lend itself good to this map. However, it's not quite on the level of Coastline where it's super frag heavy. For Chalet, the structure still is very important, or else you're not going to be able to get that map control that you need, especially on your attacks. And hopefully for Girl Boss, they're going to be able to keep up with the really more elevated structure that we see with Mirage Scouts.
I don't know why. I just had a feeling we were gonna go Chalet this game. Like
I had a gut feeling.
Right? Yeah, no, I was sitting in my bed and I was like trying to think this match through. It was like Mirage, Girl Boss. And then for some reason, Chalet just popped up in my head. I guess I'm a psychic. It is what it is. I can do everything. But we're finally ready.
I'm imagining Tara just swinging breaches with shotguns while screaming. That's the images that were popping off in my head. I know that she loves mainly the easily, but considering that they're starting on the defense, they better not get, disrupted. Mirage Scouts start on the attack. Most of the attack will start off with the lead. You really got to keep your mental fortitude going in towards your own attacking side. Try to get as many rounds on the defense as possible. So seeing a 4-2 split wouldn't be surprising necessarily. But the Nomad ban, a little bit more so, slightly. Maybe leaning a bit more towards the defender side. That's opening up the avenues for flanks. Really going to make sure that the attacking side have to have that dedicated flank watch, not by just putting down an air jab, but by physically holding those angles.
It's one of those maps where it's like flank watch can probably be really risky on Chalet, but at the same time very rewarding. You don't have a lot of angles to cover, I would say. You know, obviously, like I'm thinking more top place, which is going to be the area of contention that is going to be the most prevalent in this map. I mean, you can watch Fireplace from a lot of different angles, and it can be really dangerous. And then Ivy, of course. I mean, it's just one staircase. So I don't know. Flanking on this map isn't as easy as it's put out to be, but what can be very deadly, as we've seen from the side of Miss Monster Girl. C4s from underneath. Almost the entire floor is soft besides that Ivy area. So if you're not careful, you could catch a C4 to your knees. That could be absolutely detrimental for your team. We've seen Monster land these 4 times in the same map. We saw it in Chalet last week. Who's to say she can't go for 4 more? So you got to be really careful with how you play this. This could be a really, kind of this could come back to bite Girl Boss if they don't play it carefully. I'm assuming they're banning Nomad with the intention of, being careful around those flanks. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to comment how we're going to see the Autumn May patented Frost play. However, she immediately swaps to the Alibi, which we already spent a good portion of our early segment talking about how strong of an operator she is. Shield, is fast, good gun, and shotgun for down below, which is where it seems like this roam is going to be oriented for the Girl Boss defense. A slight extension over towards the library side, probably just head holes to challenge long angles with the potential for nitro hole or counter vertical play if a solar take is on the docket for the Mirage Scouts attacks. A lot of the time, like if you see and you look at the floor, look, it's all wood. That means it's destructible. That means you can shoot from below, and that means the Girl Boss are going to be trying to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of angles to be made, especially on this map. Depending on how Girl Boss hold this, they could obviously have some holes looking into Trophy all the way from Solar. It can be dangerous if you have someone Solar Repel, but you can still watch Trophy regardless and shut down that attack. In more ways than one, you can have people watching Library from underneath. That's kind of what we see a lot more in bar defenses than anything else, but it all starts here. It all comes to a head in Library. That's usually how these attacks go, and Satan is going to start us off by ripping the head off of Cassie. No bullshit today. She just wants to get into this.
Yeah, I mean, starting off strong, down goes the entry, and down goes probably the most utility on the attacking side. 2 nades, the Gone, as well as the aggression that we constantly see from Cassie. But just as we see a nice shot rain out in the bottom right corner, one goes right on the top of our stream. Cavi with the refrag, meaning that Bailey is not going to be on a full reign of terror. Her streak was ended a bit prematurely, but Autumn May has, reclaimed this mantle at the top of the mezzanine stairs. Quick pre-fire will come out and she'll land that kill onto Cavi. The refrag and almost going for 2 as she drops down. She will escape and live to fight another battle.
This has been a bloodbath so far inside of Library. Nobody has come out on top, even though the numbers might say differently. At the moment, Mirage Scouts are starting to lose a little bit of time, but they aren't gaining any less intel, and they aren't gaining any less frags. As yet another person falls, it's Lioness. An ill-advised jump out of the window will lead to her demise. Now, Tara's playing for the advantage. She's playing for the refrag, but it's not going to come to her unless she walks to it, which is a really risky move at this point in time. So, Girl Boss, they just need to focus on their time. They need to focus on their lives. Unfortunately, that Flores drone is going to get through. That's just how dangerous that thing can be if you don't bring a mute, which kind of got a bit of a nerf. It's more to the walls than it is to the actual jammer itself, but there's also option B of getting rid of a Flores, jumping out and slamming him. There goes Flores. Munis is down. She's already used her utility quite a bit here. It doesn't seem like any shields are left standing, but 43 seconds left here. Girl Boss, they've been on the upper hand throughout throughout the entirety of this round. And Mirage Scouts, they're definitely going to need to step it up. You have Monster Girl and Victoria, 2 very strong players. Let's see if they can win it out here.
Yeah, there's 30 seconds left, and Victoria and Monster Girl still have a lot of work to do. 3 players versus 2, no wall opened, which means you're going to have to burn these Aruni gates and get in the old-fashioned way. Funnel straight in as the headshot angles are used for Autumn May to take down Monster Girl. It's just Victoria, and she's not left alive either. Girl Boss, 3 players still up. A dominant defense. They're looking good while doing it, and they take the lead.
Why not get a 2K on your first round of Project Eris? Why not? Why not just start out your debut
3K?
with a
No
Oh, sorry,
disrespect.
3K. Yeah,
Put the
excuse me.
respect on her. That's a 3K.
Just take Terra's operator and then absolutely slam on it. Like, like what a debut here. But yeah, what a good round there from Girl Boss, obviously headed by Autumn May. Kind of those early engagements looked really concerning. It kind of felt like nobody was coming out on top. But once Girl Boss kind of came out with the man advantage, whenever they came out with the numbers advantage, that's whenever things definitely started to get a little bit more concerning for Mirage Scouts. This is kind of one of those maps where you need everyone that you can get whenever you eventually go for and execute, because there's so many different angles that you need to cover. You have to have someone repelling on Master Window. You can optionally have somebody repelling Solar and kind of taking from that side. You got to have people going for the main push on the wall. You got to have people swinging double. It's a game of numbers in the end of the day, and whenever Mirage Scouts lose those very early on, it can be really concerning. That's unfortunately what happened there.
Yeah, the biggest thing about Chalet is that usually map control is not taken by an entry following in a drone and really trying to pave way. It's usually just taken from getting on your cutoffs through windows, maybe droning just a little bit and using utility to clear out the positions. For the side of Mirage Scouts, they just went the old-fashioned way and it didn't really work. Trying to challenge all of those head holes and just the whack-a-mole effect of you knock down one head hole, take out Daddy Satan, take out Bailey, and then all of a sudden Lioness springs up, or pardon me, it was Autumn May on the alibi, just pops up, and it's just over and over again. It's really difficult. And then the attack kind of stalled. They lost their 2 entries. They didn't have enough utility to push forward. There were Rooney Gates shields that Muniz was trying to take care of with the Rotero drones, really bypassing all of the Jaeger ADSs, Wamai, Magnets, Rooney Gates to get down the pieces of utility that really mattered. But the time just became too much of a constraint.
Yeah, Flores works really well whenever you have the time to just use him and add pressure and build that up. But speaking of pressure, the pressure's on now. As Mirage Scouts are going to start to claim their frag, they'll take upstairs now, and it looks like it's going to be completely clear on the northern side. So should be pretty easy takings, but it's all going to come to a head on Ivy, where Terra has a shield just sitting there like a menace, the menace that she is. And they're just going to have to wait for this kind of mini boss fight that they're going to have inside of Ivy. And yeah, you kind of went back to that thing where it's like, you don't clear with just a person and a drone. It almost feels like in almost every single site on Chalet, you're almost attacking a secondary bomb site, because you have to surround the bomb site, you have to get your players in good positions, and you have to clear out utility. And, you do all this before you even get to the main bomb site, and this is one of those maps where it's like you have to, or this is one of those sites rather, where you have to get into Ivy, you have to get rid of the utility, get rid of the shields, this is the most important thing, and then eventually you got to get rid of Fireplace as well. There's so many layers to this attack, but at the same time, you need those layers of your Girl Boss. This is a very attacker-sided map, and you're starting to learn why. As Bailey K goes down to Daddy Satan, the shield will be gone as well. Flashbang's coming on through here, and with the new flashbang changes, which are absolutely ridiculous, that shield will disappear within the matter of seconds. That's how you properly clear out. Really well played so far to Mirage Scouts. They look excellent so far.
Yeah, they still have a minute to work with as well, plus the full man advantage. Never mind, Autumn May shuts me up real quick, swinging out and dropping down the Flores of Muniz. Cassie trying to find the refrag, but she's going to opt to go for a little bit of vertical pressure instead. Falling back inside the bomb site is something you don't necessarily want to do in Chalet, considering that pretty much everything's destructible and there are no safe places to really anchor down. And that's what Autumn May learns the hard way. Cappy from up above, that F2 goes Burt real fast and will cut her down to 0.
2 versus 4. You got 2 nice guns. You got an MP5K and an MX4. They can tear things apart, but right now, Mirage are just focused on tearing apart the entirety of the site. They have a lot of angles of pressure, and eventually when they're going to start to go for their execute, Lioness is going to be all by herself sitting inside a break. And there's not much she can really, or sorry, inside a storage. There's not much she can really do at this point in time except for wait for Terra, and there's the flank. It's going to take down Cassie in a 2 versus 3. The advantage is slowly starting to crumble here, and what the plant's going to go down. They have to cover this. Lioness trying to find the angle, but unfortunately you can't behind the half wall. Terra's on for a double, and they're going to start a collapse on this guy inside the site! As Victoria goes down, they've done it successfully! The Mirage, with as much pressure as they had, they somehow managed to let Terra slip by and claim 2! And then eventually Lioness will go on the prowl and take down the diffuser. What a beautiful play there, as the patience it took for Lioness to just wait and trust in her teammate to help her out. What a play there from Terra. We call her the leader of this team sometimes, and we're starting to finally realize why. What a play from her. What a beautiful collapse from this Girl Boss team on the down the entirety of the round, and they managed to claim it back. 2-0 for them.
Yeah, I don't really know what was stopping Mirage Scouts, but they must have seen something that I didn't that made them really hesitant to push. They had full top floor and were in a 4v2 with about a minute left, plus all the vertical pressure, but then they just got a little bit too hesitant. I think they almost suffered from the SSG effect where they only want to execute when it seems absolutely perfect, and then when you're going for those really late last minute pushes, if one single thing goes wrong, then you're screwed. Especially when you're planting as soon as there's almost triple zeros and Lioness can just swing out and drop down the diffuser. There's no chance for any kind of freestyling to try to claw something back. There's no playmaking potential. And that was just the doomed attack from being just a little bit stalled out at the very end, where everything looked so good up until the final bit.
Yeah, Mirage, I mean, they had the entire round in the bag, right? It went from 2v, it went from 5v5 to 3v5 very quickly, and they got rid of basically everything upstairs, and it kind of forced that rotate from Girl Boss. Eventually, it led to 2 people being alive. But just, like you said, there had to have been something there that just stalled out Mirage Scouts, and no matter what it was too great of a threat for them to get inside of the site. Maybe just a little bit of nerves, maybe just a little bit of pressure. We'll truly never know the mind of a player. We can't read minds, but what we can read is what's going to happen on throughout this round, as Terra has got to find her way out of this situation. She's currently stuck in a jungle right now with a bunch of players around her, including Cassie, starting to collapse from the side. She's got on a mate to her kitchen hall as well, so Terra can kind of get a little bit angsty here, as she's proving to do so. Waiting outside a fireplace, she'll get droned very easily, and they'll force both Terra and Automate out. Very surprising that she basically just went around the world there and got out safely, but regardless, it's a life saved, and most importantly, it's a C4 save.
Yeah, C4 is really impactful on this site in particular because as the rest of the Mirage Scouts attackers are lining up, they're going library over. Going to try to extend, take office, apply some vertical pressure with all those breaching charges that Cabby and Cassie are bringing to the table. But they're going to have to go through a few roamers, mainly Bailey as well as Alexis K, holding down the fort, holding down Piano, and they've got some utility allocated to their side. Aruni Gates, bout cams, a lot of intel and a lot of burn that eventually is going to indicate towards the defenders of, yeah, the attackers are coming. We've got to get our gun up. We've got to get ready. We've got to protect this area with our lives. They're kind of on islands, but they're on islands together. It's the dual roam. They're trying to hold on. They're trying to make sure that they kind of maybe at least go 1-for-1 or more so kill time, which as of right now, they've done a pretty good job, but not as good of job of killing as Cassie just does onto the Valkyrie of Bailey.
The only thing that's getting kills here right now is Cassie. What a beautiful shot there from Cassie. You know, it was a bit of an aggressive challenge there from Bailey, but at the same time, like you said, 2 minutes down now. As much as you do have a sledge, you're going to have to get to work right now if you're Munis. Gotta start getting that pressure applied because you're going to eventually have to hit the site. And what we've seen so far from Girl Boss is whenever it comes down to time, whenever it comes down for execute time, Girl Boss are showing up so far. You know, they're able to hold down the site no matter what their number count looks like. So you got to add that pressure now and start to force Girl Boss out just a little bit here. Because this is one of those sites where if you get them in the right position, you can really start to take one-on-one gunfights. But speaking of one-on-one gunfights, Lioness is looking to alleviate a lot of pressure here and add even more with 15 seconds left. She's going to start to claim kills here. Monster Girl's gonna fall first. Cassie's gonna fall second. And Victoria's gonna fall third to Terra. It's another one for Lioness! As she claims 3 kills! It's all down to Cavi in a 1 versus 4. And the only thing that's being saved is not the round, but the KD. What a perfectly timed flank, and once again, it's starting to seem like whenever it comes time for the execute, there's just some sort of variable that Girl Boss likes to add on, whether it be Terra sitting in fireplace or Lioness moving up solar. Maybe the Nomad ban was underestimated by me, maybe, just maybe, it's really starting to bite back here against Mirage as they get flight and they get a round loss.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about a Nomad ban and what sort of makes it very different, because both Zero and Nomad are flank watch operators, you know? They both make sure that those flanks don't happen, but it was almost for Mirage Scouts the curse of having 5 players alive towards an execute, because who's going to be on cams with 5 people up? Like, nobody's going to be on cams because nobody's dead. during an execute. It's the one-track mind trying to push towards sight, and then all of a sudden that opens the door for somebody like Lioness to make an absolutely huge play up Solar Stairs, which I'm sure there probably was a zero cam allocated towards that side of the map, because it's kind of the only flank avenue that the attackers really had to worry about, the only real feasible option for Girl Boss to take advantage of. And for Lioness, she really read that properly and made a massive play.
10 seconds remaining.
A massive play indeed. That was something for the ages here from Lioness. As she's basically able to help her team secure an entire round. What we've seen from Lioness is she likes to make those dangerous but useful bald eagle emoji. I don't know if that's an OG thing. Is that like really old now? That must have been like a year ago. Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
You're not an OG. That's crazy. If you know what I'm talking about, you're an OG. But yeah, Lioness is one of those players where it's like she gets really risky whenever it comes to the plays that she wants to make. But whenever they work, they work. Whenever
Now
they
in
don't,
the chess world, we call those gambits.
Oh my god!
My.
Take that gambit and shove it up your you-know-what. Cavi is crazy. She just rips the head off of Bailey. Holy crap. A taste of your own medicine, as they like to say, as Bailey slammed Cavi off that angle on that first round. But holy crap. Sorry, I was about that chess gambit you were talking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think it matters, because the opening for Mirage Scouts is looking a lot better than it has been. And overall, they've gotten more map control than they got last time. Last time around, they really stalled towards the top mezzanine area. Never got the breach that Terra's sitting on open, and were never even able to burn over towards the piano stairs. A lot of stalling went out, which might happen again, because Terra and Alexis K both tag on for a duo of kills, swinging the man count pendulum back into the favor of the defense, who still have 2 nitro cells on the board and a couple of roamers all the way around. One of those roamers is Alexis K, and Cavi will lose that gunfight as Cassie's trying to swing for the refrag. They have no idea where she is. Maybe a slight idea because the wall bangs ring true, but they haven't connected for a fatal shot yet. And every second that Alexis K is still alive is a blessing for the Girl Boss defense. Another shot doesn't quite connect, as it seems like Alexis K is just too elusive for anybody to pin down. The nade is going to take even more damage, but Cassie falls at the hands of Autumn May. It's just Victoria left alone in a 1v4. She has so much work to do, but at least she has Diffuser.
Oh, that's a positive. That's
Yep.
on the hand
I
of the
always got to
defenders.
look in the positives.
Absolutely. But I don't know, that round just it really felt like Mirage Scouts just took way too many ones that entire round. They got caught off guard in positions that they shouldn't have been. They should have been playing a little bit closer together throughout the entire round. And it kind of just felt like the Girl Boss took advantage of the situation. You know, they got their players inside positions where they could just challenge Mirage Scouts, and Mirage Scouts they got aggressive with one-on-ones, and you really can't do that on attack. It's very deadly compared to defense whenever you take one-on-one gunfights, because on defense you can fill positions if possible. On attack, at the same time, if you lose that position, nice shot there, sorry. If you lose that position, you can very easily forfeit it back to the defense. It doesn't work it doesn't work the other way around. Defense, you can, like I said, you can refill positions. What we saw a lot, however, from Mirage Scouts was that they were losing these positions to the defenders, and that's it. They just lost their 1v1s, and at that point in time, you just lose that much control. And on a map like Chalet, where it's all about what you have control over and how much time you can take to get that control, it was a bit of a crazy round, but Girl Boss, they managed to make it work.
Yeah, for the side of Mirage Scouts, I think that one thing they could really benefit from on their attacks would be utilizing repels and window play just a little bit more, besides just play on a window, like on a balcony, before you jump in. There are so many repels and so many windows that just bisect the map and make it impossible to play certain positions. Piano, we've seen the black wall. Some people call it squid, because there's like a painting that looks like bold and brash. So some people call it squid. That little black half wall right outside a bathroom. That's a position that we have seen Girl Boss have an anchor in the entire round. So even if Mirage Scouts had gotten piano control, or like even burned the Aruni, tried to push up the library hallway, they would have had trouble taking piano. And one way to get rid of that angle is big window repel, which that window has not even been opened this entire attacking half.
I know, that is the weird thing. I'm not sure when Mirage Scouts haven't... It could be the Nomad, but they
You know,
haven't stuck a
a
player
big
on
window
Massive.
on Chalet is one of the strongest. It's
Easily.
definitely top 3 in the entire game of window repels. And it's just not being utilized at all, which is a little bit baffling to me. But then again, Mirage Scouts have been going from library side for most of their attacks, but as soon as we say that, we see a solar side take and make me completely wrong. I'll eat my words on that one. Maybe they're here in the comms listening to us and actively taking our advice.
I'm gonna have a little bit of PTSD because I remember SH pushing this quite a bit. They got it successfully one time, but then that was about it. Say Mirage Scouts, who need rounds critically right now, as they are on the most they are on the most attacker-sided map right now in the pool, comparatively. They need these rounds. I'm really shocked right now that this is coming down to this, to the point where Girlboss are just able to run circles on Mirage on defense, and well. Let's see just how much... Oh my goodness. That has got to be the worst timing in the history of ever. That drone's going to miss, but it's going to spot Autumn. Probably going to have to rotate out of this position because the pressure right now is just about to be too great. Mirage have players sitting, above, and players sitting inside of Solar. Got to definitely get out of there as soon as you can, especially when you are Autumn, who's just been a playmaker so far this entire game. She could definitely be useful elsewhere, but Girlboss just waiting now for Mirage Scouts to come by. They've got the pretty default setup. Last time around, what we saw was Mirage Scouts were able to get control of what Girlboss were holding. They were able to get rid of the player playing Chimney! And that's an explosive start to a round if I've ever seen one, as Alexis K just wipes Victoria off the map. Thankfully, it was only an F2. But sorry, not the F2, sorry, it was the Habana. It was a hard breach, and there's the F2 gone. But it's going to be a refrag. A beautiful shot there from Cassie. But so much has just been lost on the side of Mirage Scouts. It's going to take a wild crawl back here for Mirage if they want to even take a round here.
Yeah, last time for Mirage Scouts, they had significantly more control at this point in the round. They had man advantage, and they still couldn't crack the walnut that was the actual bomb site. And now with only 45 seconds left, there's still roamers upstairs, and Mirage Scouts don't really have a whole lot of anything useful. They're going to have to make a play. They're going to have to get interesting, mainly over towards coat check and on a horizontal push. Lioness is still on the prowl over towards the back solar stairs. Some wallbangs coming through. Her position is known, but they can't quite pin her down. But as I was saying before, there's 20 seconds left, and nothing is happening towards the bomb site. It doesn't matter what you do on the top side if you can't get inside the bomb site. Muniz is able to take out Lioness, but what is it for? There's still library stairs control. There's still anchors. There's still so much going on, but it's a 2v2. There's a trade back of 5 seconds. One shot will go out, as all they need to do is stay alive. All Daddy Satan needs to do is stay alive. But Cassie actually makes it in the bomb site, but never mind.
Oh, no. That's so unlucky. They just didn't have the proper intel on where that Jaeger was. I still would have planted close corner there, but, you never know when you're in the mind of a player. There's a lot of variables that can go against you. So, but still, unfortunately, she was open to that fireplace door. There was a lot of safer options there, but at that point in time, I think the main focus was just getting the diffuser down. So the options were very minute. And that was what resulted in another round here from Girlboss. This time around, Girlboss were actually able to stall a very manageable amount of time upstairs as compared to last time where they won their entire, basically won their entire round of the execute off of Mirage Scouts. This time around, the top floor control really, really helped out in harnessing that sort of 1v2 there from Alexis K. So, well played. Girlboss are just looking unstoppable at the moment. Mirage Scouts just can't seem to figure out what they want to do on this attack. It has just been dominating so far. And I say dominating very loosely because these rounds have not been, dominating altogether. It's been very close, as a matter of fact. You can even, go back to 2 versus 4. That was one of those 5 rounds. These have been very, very close. Mirage Scouts have been very, very good whenever it comes to getting near the site. Whenever it comes to getting off-site control, at least so far. That last round was kind of an exception, but even whenever they have that kind of control,
10 seconds left before insertion.
it's still been really rough for them on the executes. It almost feels like, they get control for almost no, I wouldn't say no reason, obviously, want to clear players out, but once you get that control, you just can't apply enough pressure to even warrant being upstairs for as long as you have been. And that's another thing. Mirage Scouts spend a lot of time upstairs. On a map like this, you got to get a move on sometimes. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to manage their time just like that. 5-0 here for Girl Boss. This is, I mean, it's shocking. Got to get around here for Mirage Scouts. I think there's still potential to get one, but this late in, I mean, this is rough.
Yeah, because the bar bomb site is the only bomb site that Mirage Scouts have taken a step inside of. Both times the planter died pretty much as soon as the case was opened because Girl Boss had a plan for what was happening. And for Mirage Scouts, it seems like they're really hesitant on deviating from the plan. If everything isn't absolutely perfect, they've been hesitant. They've been a little bit timid trying to just gotta go sometimes. You know what I mean? You just have to go. You have to try to make something happen. You can't just sit outside the bomb site or else the time is going to be the 6th defender. And right now, it's shaping up to be potentially a horizontal push, but right now it's not working. Cavi falls at the hands of Terra. Sure, Terra is insanely lit up from this engagement, but she could have escaped back to site. They don't know where she is. She's still sitting inside a bar. She's sitting strong, and if she can take down another player or get a lot of damage over towards any of the remaining attackers, it's going to be absolutely massive, but not as massive as that pick onto the sledge of Munoz. That pretty much makes it that so you can't go upstairs. What would be the point? There's not a whole lot of vertical pressure that you can apply, and since there's not very much time on the clock, they're going to be sort of strong-armed into going fully horizontal. And once again, the crossfires, the pressure from all over applied by the defenders is too much to handle. Autumn May is going to be picking up kill after kill, a double kill in her favor, as once again, it's just Victoria in a 1v4. Absolute deja vu of what we saw last round.
I mean, Mirage Scouts, I think that entire round were just working into the angles of Girl Boss. They basically fed them kills and just walked into crossfires. It's nerves. It really is, because otherwise, if that was any other round, it almost feels like they could have just simply drawn that out and not pushed into the crossfires there of Girl Boss. But they were wrong in their assumptions. They stuck Terra inside a bar and they kind of bloodlusted for her. They wanted her dead without realizing that you could play from Kitchen Hall if you're playing inside a site that's not, you know, a very off position. And unfortunately, that's exactly what the Mozzie was doing last round. That's exactly what Autumn May was doing. Very well read by her to even help out Terra in that position, basically lending them the round at that point in time. But I want to say that Girl Boss really didn't do much that round. I mean, Mirage just kind of walked into Girl Boss's crossfire. Terra set them up, kind of baited them in with a mousetrap, and then that's whenever the rest of Girl Boss snapped. I mean, that was just... It was easy to see a mile away. Obviously, it looks different from an in-game perspective. You never know what these players are thinking, but at the same time, you gotta be aware of that. You gotta be aware of what site you're pushing. Definitely gotta drone out and make sure that the angles that you're pushing into aren't gonna work against you. But yeah, this is a really rough start here, to say the least. Another Girl Boss 7-0. You never know. Another undefeated streak continuation here from Girl Boss. This wouldn't be the first time that we see Girl Boss completely 7-0 a team. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm just shocked out of all teams it's Mirage Scouts.
Yeah. And this is Girl Boss with a sub. Sure, yeah. Autumn May is playing very, very well. Doing quite well for herself. A humble 8-3 over a 2.0 KD. I think we can say that she's doing all right. I guess that's to put it nice. She's doing okay. Could be doing better. She could be like 15-0, but that's neither here nor there. But for the side of Girl Boss as a whole, it's pretty much not a whole lot of like negatives we can say, because I mean, they're up 6-0, and that was on their defensive half of Chalet. Most teams prefer the attacking side because once again, it's so easy to get map control and just suffocate out the defenders if they try to anchor in towards the bomb site. But then again, we saw Mirage Scouts really struggle with that suffocation and struggling with the time management. That might be a recurring issue with just the style of play that both of these teams are going for. Or we can just see something completely dominant come out of Girl Boss, because maybe it's full VOD review or something like that. They really seem to have a good understanding of what Mirage Scouts were bringing to the table. So since this map was exposed last time, could have been in the cards. Not necessarily going to go out and say that, yeah, they're winning this because of their full VOD review. They're overall playing well at pretty much every step of the way.
Absolutely. I mean, girl bosses look again. We talked about the structure that they have. They just look like they're very well structured. No matter what, they're moving like water. They understand each other's positions. They play with each other. They get each other's refrags very easily. I mean, they just look fluid. There's no other way to really say it. I think fluid is the best word that we can use to currently describe this team. And at the moment, I don't think that trend is going to slow down anytime soon. Now, sometimes it can be rough to adjust on attack. It's just the way that Siege is, but Girl Boss only need one round to really find their stride. That nade, I think that's from underneath. That's why it got through. But Cavi, oh, Cavi! That is so rough. I cringed a little. You have a shotgun. Cavi being windows like that. Very unfortunate there. Cavi's going to lose a very important position here. Very crucial on this round, especially because Mirage Scouts are getting pushed from the solar side. And Monster Go's gone through! What the heck is this? She's going to try and go for a C4. I'm not sure what that was about. And she'll meet her demise.
Yep. So now it's a 4v3. 35 seconds left on the board, with the 7-0 potentially hanging in the balance if the girl boss attackers can get in, get the bomb down, or get the kills. The kills might come at the hands of Cassie. She's aggressively swinging this bathroom window, but she can't quite land the shots, and bathroom control is in the hands of the attackers now. Everybody on the Mirage Scout side has been forced out of the bomb site. The bomb site has been vacated, and so has Cassie's life right out of her head. Muniz is going to answer back onto Daddy Satan, but the bomb went down, and all of a sudden it's a post plant. Alexis K, that crossfire is too strong for Victoria to come over. Now it's a 1v3. Absolute heroics need to be whipped out by Muniz if she wants to win this round. Still has 2 bodies left to find, and they're playing passive. They have the breaches, they have the angles, and they have the kill. GG 7-0 for Girl Boss as they look dominant. Chalet is definitely their map. That's a flawless victory.
Add another tally to the win record here of Goo Goo Dolls. Add another tally to the undefeated streak. Add another record to the second 7-0 that they've got. This isn't even the first 7-0 that they've got. This is the second. This is scary. I know Terra's a menace, but holy mother of God. I didn't expect this.
All you have to do is have one conversation with Terra, and you know she's a menace. So
I know, but
she's a menace in game mainly.
This is scaring me. This is like I feel like this is gonna be like on a Netflix documentary, like How to Get Away with Murder, because this is all I'm seeing from the entirety of Girl Boss. What a stunning performance. We should definitely point out Autumn May. That's the first thing. Stunning performance. I bow to you. Absolutely stunning. Coming in for a sub position, coming in at the last second. You coming in as a team, for Eris that is currently sitting at the top. A lot of shoes to fill here, but Autumn played like she was a part of the entire team, like part of the team the entire time. There was no difference. I mean, she just felt like she was in her element. I definitely want to give the most credit to her, but the rest of the team played lights out as well. I mean, they just looked so good. They looked uncontestable at the time. At sometimes they had so much good communication. It could definitely be seen. And they just played fluid. They just played absolutely fluid. They just had each other's backs. They had each other's refrags, had each other's crossfires. And that became apparent as the rounds went and got a little less closer than they were last time. So congratulations to Girl Boss on yet another victory. Count it. Count it for me. 4. And 2 of those were 7-0s. No other way to get dominating than that.
Yep, but that concludes our first map. We are going to toss it over to a quick break. We've still got 2 more? I think either 2 or 3 more BO1s today. So a lot of Siege left to be played. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.